Most retirees don't run out of money because of bad investments. They run out of money because they withdraw the wrong amount. I know that sounds simplistic, but it's important to understand why I say that and how a retiree can best understand how much they can withdraw and still enjoy a long term sustainable retirement. Too much withdrawal, and you may drain your portfolio faster than you ever expected. Too little withdrawal, and you sacrifice years of your life living below your means when you didn't really have to, especially in the early part of retirement. And I always say if you don't enjoy your money now, your kids will later. The frustrating part is that most people never realize they're getting this wrong until the consequences are already in motion. So today I'm going to show you exactly how to calculate your safe withdrawal rate. And more importantly, I'm going to show you why most people get this completely wrong and what to do instead. I had a conversation recently with someone in their 60s who had done everything right. They saved consistently for decades, they made reasonable investment decisions, they avoided reckless risk. But when we actually sat down and mapped out their retirement income picture, the reality was stark. At their current trajectory, they were on an unsustainable path long term, one that potentially could have them running out of money before they ran out of their retirement years. And not because they hadn't saved enough, but because no one had helped them understand how to connect everything together and understand this one key equation we're going to walk through. So let's walk through this step by step. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to calculate your key numbers, how to stress test it so you don't accidentally undermine a retirement that you've spent decades building. All right, let's start with step one. Step one is to start with your income gap. And this is where almost everyone skips ahead, but this is the most expensive mistake in the entire process. Before you think about a withdrawal rate, we need to understand one key number. That is your income gap. Your income gap is the difference between what you spend every year and what's guaranteed to come in during retirement. Think about Social Security, for some folks, pensions, maybe it's rental income, anything that arises reliably regardless of what the market does. And here's the key question to spend time thinking about. Do you actually know what your lifestyle and retirement will cost each year? Not a rough estimate, not a number that maybe sounds kind of reasonable, an actual documented figure. Because if you don't know your real expenses, your withdrawal rate calculation isn't a plan. It's a guess with very real consequences for your long-term retirement. So here's how to do it properly. Number one, let's start by adding up all your total annual expenses. Now this is everything. Think like your housing costs, your health care, add in travel, anything else that builds up your lifestyle. All this in one figure altogether. Number two, let's subtract your guaranteed income sources. So these are things that would be income sources continuing to come in each month, regardless of the markets and economy. Most everyone will have a Social Security benefit, small percentage having a pension. Others may have something such as rental income or other guaranteed income benefits. All that adds together. After doing this calculation, what remains between the two is now your retirement income gap. That's the number your portfolio needs to generate every single year for the rest of your retirement. And number two, identify your liquid assets. Now that you know how much income you need, let's know where we can reliably pull it from. And this is where people consistently overestimate that position. Because we need to look specifically at your liquid assets, which would be your investment accounts, retirement accounts, IRAs, 401ks, cash, money market accounts. Now, here's why folks overestimate this. It does not include your home, your vehicles, and anything else where you're not realistically going to be drawing income from. So obviously things like your house, they're an asset, but we don't want to sell our house to eat in retirement. So let's kind of leave that to the side for now. Now, one small caveat is if you're 100% sure that you'll be downsizing or changing housing, and that's going to free up some home equity from a non-liquid asset to a liquid asset, that could be added back to your liquid assets. Now, here's the reality for most people. Your net worth doesn't fund your retirement. Your liquid assets do. And those two numbers can be very different. For most people, this can be a confusing set of circumstances to kind of start to parse out these two, but it's very important. Doing it wrong can create a very different retirement outcome. So now that you have these two critical numbers, your income gap and your liquid assets, now we can actually do the calculation. So step three, calculate your withdrawal rate. The formula or calculation is very straightforward. Divide your annual income gap by your liquid assets. That percentage is your withdrawal rate. In very simple terms, if you need $40,000 per year from your portfolio as the income gap, and you have $1 million in liquid assets, your withdrawal rate is 4%. I know it feels simple enough, but here's where it gets dangerous. Most people stop here. They see 4%. They think they've probably heard or read something about the 4% rule, and they sort of assume they're fine. And that's exactly where the real risk begins. The step 4, let's understand what safe or sustainable actually means. You may have heard about this 4% rule, but nobody here helps us understand and think about how this isn't just a rule, it's really more a true starting point. And applying it without context is one of the most common planning mistakes that I see. Your safe withdrawal rate depends on your age, your realistic life expectancy, your tax strategy, your income sources, and potentially where we're starting as far as market conditions whenever you start withdrawing from the portfolio. For instance, if you retire at 55, your time horizon is completely different than someone retiring at age 70. If your portfolio needs to support 35 or even 40 years of income, the math looks very different than if you need to support 20 or 25 years. The longer your time horizon, the lower your starting withdrawal rate most likely should be. Now, most people never adjust for this, and the consequences compound quietly and quietly for years before they become visible. So step 5, the other hidden cost that can break an otherwise solid plan. And here's where things get genuinely very important. Because if your withdrawal rate looks safe on paper, there are other hidden factors that can quietly erode that safety without triggering any obvious warning signs. Those hidden items could be cost. So think about taxes and the Roth conversion traps. Roth conversions done correctly are great. They can be one of the most powerful planning tools in retirement, but done incorrectly, they create a chain reaction that most people never see coming. When you convert money to Roth, IRA to Roth, you're not just paying taxes on that conversion amount, but depending upon your income picture, you might simultaneously make more of your Social Security benefit taxable. You might push yourself into those higher Medicare premium brackets. You could also eliminate other valuable tax-efficient space that could have been used more strategically for your unique situation. So the question isn't simply should I do a Roth conversion? The question really is how much and when, and without disrupting everything else. Convert too aggressively, and you can unintentionally increase the pressure of your withdrawal rate. And the opposite of that intended effect is not really what we're going for here in retirement. And then secondly, we should be aware of the second hidden cost, which is the sequence of returns risk. So imagine retiring and watching the market drop significantly in your first 2 years of retirement, while you're making these regular withdrawals from a portfolio that's going down in value. Now compare that to someone who retires into a strong market. There's cushion, and before anything meaningfully occurs as far as a downturn, they have had appreciation of that same portfolio. So same withdrawal rate, same long-term average return, but completely different outcomes. So the timing of returns relative to when you start withdrawing is one of the most underappreciated risks in retirement planning. So there's strategies you can put in place to help mitigate some of that risk as well. And then hidden cost number 3, we can circle back to them about healthcare and Medicare premiums that most people don't realize that are based on overall income. So this means that if your withdrawal strategy or your Roth conversion strategy or other ways of bringing income into your overall plan causes certain income to be above thresholds, you could end up paying significantly more for Medicare than you ever had planned for. So your withdrawal rate doesn't necessarily change, but the cost of living does. So you got to pull from one or draw dollars out that are higher levels of withdrawals, which means your safe rate just became less safe. Then number 4, are you understanding what your legacy goals are, and are you thinking about that and the best way to maximize what goes to your children or other beneficiaries if that's a key goal for you? Because if you do this, this could change the calculation entirely. Now, those strategic Roth conversions could make a lot of sense. Pay tax today, resulting in your beneficiaries inheriting those dollars completely tax-free. Every dollar that they take out later from these inherited Roth accounts would have no tax burden attached to them. Compare that to traditional tax-deferred accounts as their way of inheritance, and every dollar of that would be taxed at their rates at that time. So the real question becomes, are you optimizing for yourself alone? Are you optimizing for your family's long-term picture? The answer should inform your entire withdrawal and conversion strategy. And so that brings us to step 6. So we should stress test your plan. At this point, you've done the math, but math alone doesn't create confidence. Testing and stress testing and double checking gives you this confidence long term. Because a real retirement plan doesn't just calculate a withdrawal rate and hope that those assumptions hold. It asks the uncomfortable questions around what if markets decline significantly in the first few years of retirement? What happens if you live longer than the average life expectancy? And so these are uncomfortable questions that we all have to deal with. And ultimately, we have to think, what does this look like from a tax perspective? What happens if my tax rates go up, if those Medicare premiums continue to rise? Your plan, when stress tested, should show that these hold up under all of these conditions. Maybe it's not perfectly. No plan survives every scenario unchanged, but it should have enough flexibility and cushion that the answers don't keep you up at night. Here's a complete framework simplified. Number 1, calculate your income gap. Number 2, identify your liquid assets. Number 3, divide your annual income gap by your liquid assets to find your withdrawal rate. Adjust that rate based on your time horizon, account for all the other hidden costs, taxes, Medicare, withdrawal sequencing, and legacy desires. Then stress test the whole thing against realistic adverse scenarios. And when you do this correctly, something meaningful happens. You stop wondering whether you're going to be okay because you know you will. Not because you're hoping the math works out, but because you've tested it against the conditions that actually derail retirement plans. You make decisions from confidence instead of fear. You spend more freely on the things that matter. You stop treating every market headline as a threat to your security. That's what a genuinely coordinated retirement plan makes possible. And this is exactly what we build for clients at Cornerstone Wealth Planning. We start with a fully integrated strategy that connects Social Security, taxes, investment income, healthcare, and estate planning into one coherent picture so nothing works against something else. And this is our first step in helping new clients, building out an integrated retirement plan. If you want to see what this looks like for your specific situation, please click in the description to watch the free video or schedule a call with our team. Because that goal isn't to just guess at your withdrawal rate in retirement, it's to know your plan holds up and do that before you need it to. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.